Hey kid, don't ever let them get inside your head. They'll tell you what to do in life instead of everything you know that you could get. Don't let them guide your life towards regret. I'll fight for what I love with every breath. My past is filled with things I won't forget. I use them all to push me to my best. So treat the worst of times just like a test. If only I could go back in time, I'd tell myself that everything will end up alright. Just push yourself, test yourself, figure out what you like, and find your limits, don't be rigid, always work towards a prime. Surround yourself with open minds, people can change your life. A few friends with intent can help you feel alive. Find a passion, take some action, and with a little time, just be patient, make a statement, try to enjoy your life. They'll try to kick you.
All right, what is up, Utah fans? This is Joseph back with the Utah Utes Football Digest, and it's kind of an impromptu Sunday morning show. There's a lot to talk about, and I'm sure this isn't a lot of you guys are not going to be watching this live. I'm sure a lot of you guys are in church. I'm sure a lot of you guys are getting ready to watch some NFL football today. So that's not really what this is about. I'm guessing the majority of you guys will be watching this after the fact. So don't stress if you didn't catch this one live. If you could, though, whether you're watching now or watching after the fact, please do smash that like button. It'll help get it out to more Utah fans. It's, I want to talk about some of the topics from yesterday from the Utah-Washington game. Let's just dive right into it, guys. Thoughts from yesterday. We lost to a really good Washington team. This was a team that had a ton of firepower and a lot of good players, especially on that offense. Seriously, the fact that our offense was able to do what it did at times was pretty impressive in itself. There was a lot of good to take away from yesterday. I think we saw the best performance we've seen all year from our offense, right? That was just to pull up the numbers. Let me just pull it up. In total, we had, let's see here. Sorry. Maybe I should have been a little more prepared. But I would just like to talk about it real quick. So yesterday's game, let me pull up ESPN. Our offense had a total of team stats. We had, why is this so annoying? Bro, come on, dude. All right. So we had 382 total yards of offense. And considering how lackluster our offense has been all year against a decent defense, that was pretty impressive. And passing yardage wise, we had, what was the number? It was 267 passing yards. I'm pretty confident that maybe we did more than that against Weber State. I'm not sure off the top of my head. But outside of that, by far the most passing yards we had in any game. So just to give us a little bit of, calm and relaxing thoughts after a really tough game, that this was not a bad performance. We were going to Washington facing a top 5 team, and we really held our own. I would just say, guys, considering all the different aspects of what happened this season, the fact that we were able to get this type of game this close with this many injuries, with this much going against us, I'm not mad about this game. I think it was not unrealistic to think we would win this game, but just, it was not a game that we were going to easily win. I know it felt like it at times that we were going to win this game, that we just had to close it out, and we just couldn't close it out. I feel similarly, guys. I just want to put it a little bit of perspective in there. I think we had a Utah team that all year has been facing adversity, and you do hit a certain point where adversity is too much, right? I don't think we had no shot to win this game. I think Washington was primed to get beat, but is what it is. Let's talk about the different performances. So first off, the offensive performance. Really a weird situation with our offense in this game. They had a really big flash in the first half. Seriously, like I said, the best half of football that we've played all year. Like, not even questionable. This was clearly the best half of football we've played all year on offense, and I thought that was awesome to see. Unfortunately, we followed it up with a very rough second half of offensive football, arguably our worst half of offensive football. It wasn't as a total performance, it wasn't terrible, but there was, a lot to be desired. Seriously, it was not what we wanted to see from this offense overall. We've had better overall performances on the year. The problem is we didn't follow it up in the second half. We really crapped the bed in the second half on offense. I thought there was so many things going against us. There was a lot of bad penalties. There were a lot of drop passes. I mean, those are on us. They're not on Bryson. There was a lot of inaccurate throws from Bryson too, though. I mean, it is what it is there. I just, overall as an offense, I would give us the grade of a C plus. It wasn't bad. It wasn't good either. It was really good in the first half, really bad in the second half. So meet somewhere in the middle. But I would say the fact that our first half was that good, that we were winning a shootout with Washington, which is a number 3 total offense in the country and the number 1 passing offense in the country, and we were winning a shootout with them. I think that was such a good half that it's hard to look at it too negatively, but we definitely came back down to earth in that second half. And I would say some of the justified call-outs would be the coaching on offense in that second half. This has been a problem at times. Is they're going to make adjustments. You need to make adjustments too. I think some people might have been a little overly critical of the offense in this game. Like I said, the first half was so good. I think my concern was the adjustments, that we didn't find ways to continue moving the ball. It felt like the play calling got really weird, really vanilla, really not imaginative. It just not super great play calling in the second half. So is what it is there. And now let's talk about our defensive performance. Our defense, 35 points. Now, 2 of those points were given up by the offense, right? 35 points, 24 in the first half given up by the defense. I think I'd put the defense a little higher as an overall performance, in a B-. I think some people are acting like the defense had a wildly good day, which I wouldn't quite agree with. I don't think they had a bad day. A B- is still a solid grade. It's better overall than what the offense looked like in this game. But as a defense, we had a solid game. And when you factor in what we were giving up, and you factor in the fact that it was against one of the best offenses in the country, 457 yards and 33 defensive points allowed. Not terrible. I mean, it's not a great performance, but a B- seems solid. I think Morgan Scalley really showed up in the second half. I feel like both sides of the ball kind of had their problems today. I feel like the first half, our defense noticed our offense doing a great job and might have let off the gas a little bit, might have not gotten as aggressive as they needed to, because they saw our offense was scoring with this team. And then after that, it was like the defense in the second half was like, okay, clearly our offense is not going to carry us through this game. We are going to have to step up and get this done, which they really did. 9 points to this elite Washington offense in the second half was really impressive. This is also a team that was surprisingly good at running the ball. I know a lot of us weren't sure what that run game would look like headed into this game, but I thought the Washington running game was pretty impressive. That Dylan Johnson guy, he was running it hard. He looked like a really good running back, and their O-line was really good. Witt commented on the press conferences before this game, but their offensive line was very good, and not just in pass blocking, but also in run blocking. I was pretty impressed with them. So that's the offensive and defensive performances. Let's move on to the next topic here, guys. what are we looking forward to the rest of the season? I'm going to pull up the schedule. I already know what the schedule is, but I do want to pull it up just so I'm giving us 100% accurate information. So right out the gate, this week, we play a very tough Arizona team. If you guys are not aware, Arizona is not a doormat this year. Arizona is actually a pretty good team. So be ready for a fight. This team's pretty damn good. We're going to do a breakdown on Tuesday night, breaking down all the details of this game, what to look for. But then right after that, we play Colorado. And so what I started thinking about, obviously, we have like a decent bowl game that we could go to. But I think what's really exciting about the rest of this season, guys, is one, we can fine tune a lot of the positions. These aren't elite teams we're playing; they're good teams, good to average teams. I'd say Colorado, like they almost beat Arizona yesterday, so I wouldn't think that that's a just check the box. I mean, we're going to need to go in there and fight Colorado. They put up points on almost everyone. I think outside of Colorado, they've put up points in like every game. So don't think, outside of Oregon, they put up points in every game. So this is what we have to look forward to, guys. There's 4 teams heading into the Big 12 next year from the Pac-12. One of those teams is Arizona State, which Utah beat 55-3 in a super impressive performance. What makes it even more impressive is the following week, yesterday, Arizona State beat UCLA. Pretty convincingly as well, they beat UCLA. So we have a big win there. But then the other 2 teams going to the Big 12 with Utah are Arizona and Colorado. Arizona's a pretty good team. They've been recruiting super well for a while. Like they're right up there at the top of the Pac-12 recruiting wise every year over the past couple of years. Not the top, but in the mix of the top teams. And then we're going to go play Colorado. And Colorado is a team that's looking like they could really be something special in a year or two. But either way, we're going to get an opportunity to win out and go undefeated against the Big 12 future teams. Because really, guys, at this point, outside of wild nightmare scenarios for other teams, we really don't have any shot of getting to the Pac-12 championship or getting to the Rose Bowl, right? So we have to look towards next season and what we can make out of the rest of the season. So just looking at that, that's pretty fun and pretty exciting to me, at least, that we get to go against the Big 12 teams to close out the season. And I think it'd be pretty cool with the new Big 12 entrants from the Pac-12 to go 3-0 against them. I think we're already one of the best teams in the Big 12 heading into next year, if not the best team in the Big 12. But I also think teams like Arizona, Colorado, and Arizona State aren't – probably Arizona State, they're one of those teams that's been flashing this year, but Arizona and Colorado are probably looking to be decent Big 12 teams. And I would say Arizona State, too. You beat UCLA. UCLA is not an easy win, guys. Don't forget how that game went for us at Rice-Eccles. That's a monster defense. That is not a cakewalk game. So if we could go undefeated there against the rest of the Pac-12, Big 12 converts, I think that would be pretty cool, pretty exciting, and a nice icing on the cake of a season that has been a little disappointing, but all factors considered, could be worse. So let's go ahead and dive in, guys. I also wanted us to look at the grades from the game. So the PFF grades, let me pull that up here. Okay, and let's go ahead and break down the PFF grades. All right, and we're just going to be looking at the Washington game PFF grades, not the full season. We'll be looking at a lot of different grades, but let's start with our offense. So I'm going to share it on the screen here. Give me 1 second. Boom. All right. Okay, guys, and here we go. So these are the PFF grades from the Washington-Utah game. I think let's focus on the positive right out the gate. There's a lot of good to take away from this game. Jalen Glover, a guy that, hasn't been amazing all year this year, but he got 15 snaps in this game and was clearly the highest graded player on this offense. There were a few really nice runs by Jalen Glover. I was pretty impressed with the kid. 78.7 offensive grade for Jalen. I love to see that. Gotta love it. So Jalen's a guy I would say pretty excited about moving forward. And I feel like next year he'll have a real opportunity to play a bigger role in this offense. Sione Vaki, another good offensive game for him, 74.6. Really good look for Sione. We have some other players that looked good as well, right? There was a lot of good here. I think overall, the offensive line, check this out. Michael Mokofisi is 70.8. Seitawa Laumea, 69.5. And this was, a pretty decent defensive line that had really been coming on over the past few games. And they looked, pretty solid against them. Keaton Bills as well right here, 68.3. Those are good offensive grades, guys. And at center, Kalinu Fa'au, however you say that. I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I just can't say it. And then Bryson Barnes, I bet you if you could just pull the grade from the first half, that grade looks way higher. I would imagine that second half grade was probably like a 40, and that first half grade was probably like an 80, if I was going to take a guess. Devon Bailey, I'm a little surprised that grade's so low. He had 150 plus receiving yards and had a pretty damn good game. So I'm a little surprised that's so low. Money Parks here. Another guy, a little surprised that's so low. I thought they had pretty good games. Nate Johnson, a 60, but that's off of one snap. Miki Sugaturaga had some rough times. He had that drop, and then he had a fake offensive pass interference. I don't know if that does or doesn't count against him in the PFF grade. I'm not that in the know to know that. Landon King, it seems like a lot of these guys had rough second halves, and you can tell that by the grades because for sure their grades in the first half was a lot better. And just to point this out, guys, I mentioned it in the stream yesterday. I was surprised the grades reflected it this much. I just happened to notice it on a few plays. But look at the two guys that were playing left tackle yesterday. Noah Togiai, and then Spencer Fano. A 44.5 on 30 snaps for Togiai and a 27.4 for Spencer Fano. Again, I don't like calling out people by name because I'm not trying to make anybody feel bad. But take a look at that, guys. I mean, later in this show, we're going to talk about positions of concern heading into next year. But I think it's pretty clear left tackle is a bona fide position of concern. Not sure what's going on there. Honestly, one of the questions for me is why is Seitawa Laumea not playing left tackle? I find that a little odd. I wonder if that's – I'm not saying he would put up the same type of performance at left tackle as he is at right, but still, even if he was 10 points lower, if we could get decent left tackle play, that would go such a long ways. Seriously, I wonder what's going on behind the scenes there if he's like, hey, I do not want to play left tackle. All I know is we definitely missed Braden Daniels this year. Braden Daniels, NFL left tackle or NFL tackle from Utah, and a guy that I had been, pounding the table for a long time. Sad to see him gone this year. I think we felt it all year. Left tackle has been a position that we have just not been able to figure out this year. And I do feel like yesterday it really hurt us. I know it wasn't the focus of what people were talking about, but it was a concern. I don't want to spend too much time on it because I'm going to break it down in a minute in the positions of concern. So let's switch to defense. So check out the defensive grades here. Not shocked at all to see Levani Damuni as the number one guy. He was laying the wood all day, looked awesome. He was a great run defender in this game. Really impressed. Didn't do super well in coverage, but in the run defense, I think he made up really well for coverage. Seriously, a lot of those runs, Dylan Johnson would have had a much more dominant performance running the ball against Utah had it not been for Levani Damuni stepping up and making plays. He really did. If you guys go back and watch the tape, in the second half, Levani was just getting in there. He was just hitting him really hard, wrapping up really well, and not letting 2-3 yard or runs that went to the line go for 5-10 yards. I was really impressed with this guy. Sione Vaki, another good day on defense. Not great against the run, but did really well when rushing the passer on 5 snaps. And in 33 coverage snaps, he had a 71.0 grade. Awesome. Good work, dude. He's the lifeblood of this team this season. He really has been a guy that has been awesome to watch. Karina Reed, solid game. I think so much focus was on this offense about how poorly they did. But as we break down the grades, there was some bad defensive grades in here. There wasn't the low end quite like the offense had, but there's some bad ones here. I mean, there's not a ton of good ones. You can see that right out the gate. And then in the 50s and low 60s, we got a ton of guys. I mean, Connor O'Toole down here with a 50.7 grade, and Jonah Ellis too, who's usually our stud on this defense, a 52 grade. And I would say those are two guys that I noticed all game. They were kind of just doing speed rushes around the edge, and the speed rush was not getting home at all. Their left tackle was making those two guys look pretty rough all game. I know Jonah wasn't going against their left tackle all game, but I did notice it a few times. And I noticed Connor O'Toole really struggling against the left tackle. So that's not surprising. Teo Johnson, I'm a little surprised this is so low. I didn't think it'd be so low, but it does make sense. We saw a few blown coverage by the kid, and then the one, or a few blown coverages that went for big plays. And he had the one that kind of should have been pass interference. He was all over the guy. Debatable, but probably should have been pass interference. He was all over the guy, and then it just didn't get called. So it is what it is. Who knows what plays we weren't seeing on the stream that were happening where he wasn't looking great. And don't get me wrong, Teo Johnson's been pretty awesome this year. I mean, he's been one of our better defenders and a guy that kind of just snuck up on you. Like, you didn't think he was going to be this much of an impact player. But you look, guys, Cole Bishop, a guy that I'm probably a little surprised it's as low as it is. I thought his run defense looked decent, but is what it is there. So that's kind of that. That's the PFF grades, guys. I hope you appreciated them. And if you guys are just tuning in, like the video, help get it out to more fans. Guys, we've had a great year, and these PFF grades were against a really tough team. So don't stress about it. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Let's move on to the next topic. The rest of the season. I touched on it earlier. We're going to be going up against Arizona and Colorado, right? Arizona and Colorado, Big 12 teams, good Big 12 teams. At least in Arizona, they're going to be a team that I expect to compete with us next year for the Big 12 Conference Championship. And if you're a Big 12 fan watching this and you don't think that's realistic, I don't know what to tell you. Arizona looks really good this year. And Utah looks good this year despite tons of injuries, a plague of injuries, and everything going against them that could. And Oklahoma State was the team that everyone was talking about to be the big Big 12 contender that was going to scare Utah. Doesn't look that way. They got beat pretty badly by UCF. And I would say UCF is almost like an Arizona light, where it's a ton of talent that hasn't quite put it together yet. And I would say Arizona is better than UCF by a good jump, just a similar team, really good recruiting, and should be deadly once they get clicking. So rest of the season, guys, let's go undefeated. We have 2 more teams that'll be with us from the Pac-12 to the Big 12 next year. So let's go undefeated against Arizona and Colorado. We already have a huge dominant win against a good ASU team that just beat UCLA. Not a good ASU team, but like an ASU team that beat UCLA. So not a cakewalk victory. So is what it is there. We got a lot to look forward to. We can still get a good bowl game. 10-3 is still absolutely possible. So let's go for that. And let's go for that undefeated new Big 12 schedule. Final thing. I think this is going to be a fun topic for those of you guys in here, is our NIL and our transfer needs heading into next year. Now, I know I might ruffle some feathers here, But I do want to talk about. I'm going to assume Cam Rising is coming back. I'm also going to assume Brant Keithy is not coming back. That seems to be the rumor mill right now. And so as I break this down, I'm just going to assume those two things. I know we haven't had any of that verified, but I do just want to go off those assumptions because I think it'll make this exercise a little more fun, guys. So let's start at a position that has been a rough go this season. I just talked about it in the PFF grades, but it is the left tackle position. I'm a little concerned. What I'm wondering is there's a chance that the guy is in the room right now that at our left tackle spot. There's a chance he's already in the program. You know, we had 2 4-star freshman offensive tackles this year, and we have supposedly this awesome offensive line coach in Jim Harding, and that it should be great. My thing is just how much of a leap is a guy going to take from this year to next year? It's like you can expect improvement, but can you expect the guy to go from, you know, I'm not going to mention a lot of names here, but the left tackle play has been rough. It has been rough. I think I'll mention one name, Spencer Fano. I think he's going to be really good one day. And I think he's a freshman that's being thrown in at left tackle because we don't have anyone else, and he will be really good one day. He's not right now. And it sucks, and I like the kid, but how, like, let's see what his average grade on the season is after yesterday. I'm not sure if yesterday's grades are being taken into this, but I would like to look. So let's look at our offensive tackle grades on the year. Give me 1 second to pull that up, because I do just want to make sure those of you that might think I sound crazy right now can just take a look at what we're talking about here. Again, this might not include yesterday, which was a pretty rough day. Yeah, let's pull it up on the screen here. This is kind of what I'm talking about here, guys. So take a look. Spencer Fano, a 52.1 grade. Again, I'm not trying to make anyone feel bad here, but that is not a Utah level offensive line, offensive left tackle. Like, that is not who we can just bank on being the starter. Even if he goes from a 52 to a 60, that's not what you want as your starting left tackle. And Togiai hasn't looked very good either all year. I mean, on 219 snaps, he's a 53.7. The other thing is, is Seitao Laumea going to be back next year? I think that's a great question. Let me look that up. I think he's a junior. Let me see. But I could see there's a chance. Yeah, he's a junior. So hopefully we get him back next year, and we're only stressing about one tackle spot, because Seitawa is an above average starter, right? He is a good player, but that is not, like, the other position is not where it needs to be. So that's where I am in regards to the tackle position. It needs to be better. I think it's, for me, our most glaring need. There's other needs we have, but this one, I would challenge you guys to go back and watch the game against Washington, and I think you guys will be surprised at just how rough the tackle play was. We went over the PFF grades earlier, and not right tackle, but left tackle. We went over the PFF grades earlier, but both of these guys got reps in Togiai and Spencer Fano. We went over the PFF grades earlier from the game, and neither one of these guys graded over a 44 grade. So there needs to be some direct concern there. And I don't know what we can do there. My thing is, Caleb Lomu is a guy that he was a 4-star offensive tackle that committed to Utah. I can't imagine he's that much worse than this. I mean, give the guy a shot. I'm not sure what's going on there for a offensive line coach that's as heralded as Jim Harding. Why are we not seeing better play out of the left tackle spot? Hopefully that gets figured out. Now let's go to another position. Cornerback 2. Cornerback 2 has had some real struggles, not just this year. It has had struggles for years. Miles Battle and Travis Broughton have kind of been fluctuating in and out of the cornerback 2 spot. And I know Miles Battle was the guy that we brought in last year to kind of take over that role, but it hasn't quite worked out. And Travis Broughton, for some reason, Morgan Scalley seems to have a lot of faith in him. But he hasn't been getting it done for years now. I think I'm at a point where I'm really annoyed that's a problem every year. If you guys remember last year, once Zamiah Vaughn came onto the scene and started to look really awesome, it was game changing, right? Zamiah Vaughn's a 70.1 this year as a CB1, not a CB2. And so when you consider that, and then you consider like what that did for us when Clark Phillips and Zamiah Vaughn were looking awesome, which wasn't a whole season. It was like once we saw that really good game against USC for Zamiah, he started to come out into that role and look awesome. But cornerback 2 is a concern, guys. I think Miles Battle has potential. I think he's definitely looked rough at times, right? He's looked decent at times, but there's also been times where you're like, yo, what is this? He's a senior this year, though, so I'm guessing he's probably gone. And I think that Travis Broughton is a senior too. My concern is just why are the guys behind them, the younger guys, not able to take some of these starting reps over them? How bad is the cornerback 2 depth to where no one behind Broughton could come in and fill that role? And this, seriously, guys, this is not meant to make Broughton or Battle feel bad, or if they see this. This is about addressing real needs we have on this team. If we want to be one of the best teams in college football, which we are, but if we want to be in that next echelon, we can't have glaring weaknesses. Because I would say this year, left tackle was a glaring weakness all year. We still have 2 games. I'm not looking at the season in past tense, but it is like 10 games now. It has not been figured out. Cornerback 2 has not only been a weakness all year this year, it has been a weakness for years. I mean, I can't be the only one that is known that this position has not been doing well for a long time. And don't get me wrong, this is not meant to be a negative podcast. This is just meant to be serious, like what is going on here, right? How is this happening? How is this happening every year? So is what it is there. Those are probably, for me, the 2 most pressing positions. Like literally it's 1A and 1B, left tackle and cornerback 2. Left tackle's 1. No, so it's 1 and 2. Left tackle's for sure the most pressing need. And then the second one is clearly cornerback 2. What I do want to talk about, though, that I think is worth taking a look at, I think at tight end, Landon King has come on at times and started to look good. But I also don't want us to overhype it to where we're not critically analyzing whether or not that's a position of need. Let's pull up those PFF grades real quick just so we're all on the same page. Landon King, 62.5. That's not bad, right? But I would also say for a team that prides ourselves in having really, really good tight end play, I don't know if you want to just check the box on a 62.5. Like, will he be better next year? For sure. And will I want to see Landon King be a big piece of this offense? Absolutely. But you think about when this team shined 2 years ago. We had Brant Keithy, Dalton Kincaid, and the other guys slip in my mind. Oh, Fotheringham. Yeah. Those 3 were a 3-headed monster at tight end, and they really brought a new level to this offense. Like, and I would just say how important tight end is to this offense and how lackluster the tight end play overall has been this year is a real concern, right? Like Miki Sugataraga, I think he's had a flash or 2 here and there, but if you guys are thinking a 46.2 PFF grade over almost a whole season is worth hanging your hat on, I don't agree. I don't agree with that. So I'm not trying to make any of these kids feel bad. This is just looking at the position and looking at what we need long term, guys. And I would say tight end for me this year, and I'm sure a lot of you guys feel the same way. Tight end this year has been a situation where it just hasn't lived up to the Utah standard. It's not terrible right now because we are seeing flashes from Landon King, but I would say I don't think his flashes are enough for me to say don't worry about a position that is critical to this offense. So that's where I am with tight end. That's where I am with all the NIL needs. So number 1 spot, we got left tackle. Number 2 spot, we have cornerback 2, and number 3 spot, we have tight end. So that's where I am. There's a lot of good guys. Don't get me wrong. This defense, it so much good on this defense, but cornerback 2 has consistently been a problem. I know a lot of people are probably going to say in the comments, Smith Snowden, right? Why isn't Smith Snowden in there? I agree. Why isn't he in there? And my question is, if he's ready to go at cornerback 2, why is he not playing? I'm guessing he's not quite there yet. I've seen flashes from him. He's a guy that he'll play on kickoff. He actually had a really nice tackle yesterday, and his tape in high school was so awesome that I'm surprised he's not getting more reps. I don't know what goes on behind the scenes there, but I do find it surprising that we haven't found anyone to replace Broughton over this many years. I also am a little concerned about the tight end room and left tackle situation. Is what it is. This is not meant to be a negative podcast. I just wanted us to be on the same page where I feel our needs are heading into next year. I also think there's a conversation about Jaquindon Jackson. Could he possibly go pro? My guess is he's coming back, right? I don't think he's going pro. I'm guessing he's coming back. So is what it is there, guys. I appreciate you guys tuning in with me. I know a lot of you guys are probably going to watch this after the fact and not during, just because the NFL is about to start today, and then a lot of you guys are in church, so I get it. I just wanted to make this. It was on my head, and I felt like this was worth doing. Sometimes we do the post-game live show, and it's so hard to have your thoughts fully gathered right when the game ends. But I felt like I had some time to consider what I wanted to talk about and some talking points for me. So if you guys appreciated the video, smash the like button. Also, if you're watching before or after the fact, comment on some of the questions I asked. Like, what would you grade our offensive, defensive performances? Where do you think our NIL and transfer needs are? I'm sure there's something that we do need that I'm just not talking about, right? So feel free to drop that in there. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. We put out a ton of Utah Utes football content. I don't think anyone else is doing Sunday morning live streams. So if you guys appreciate it, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel and share the video with a friend that you think would love it and likes Utah football. I'm out of here, guys. I hope you have a great Sunday, and go Utes.